Now, the book 30, 3 Decades of the New Nigerian Cinema, which chronicles developments in the Nigerian movie industry, was launched here in Lagos on Thursday last week. Now, speakers at the event stressed the importance of documenting past events as a crucial way of understanding history. Now, the author, Arise News' Steve Ayorinde, a well-known entertainment industry aficionado, noted that there has to be a document where people can appreciate the growth and successes of the movie industry. According to him, the book is similar to a museum where people can see and read history while looking forward to ways of expanding the movie industry.
In the early years, there really wasn't that much work outside of, there was a time when cinema was reigning, and then, everything went on television. And now you're getting a renaissance of cinema and television and the streamers. And so you find that new entrants into the industry now are not coming in with a sense of not being sure if they're going to get any work. It's like, will I be able to cope with the amount of work that is available? There is so much work available now, and coming on stream is animation as well, which is really good. It's an industry that is, flourishing incredibly.
I appreciate Steve Ayorinde on this. I congratulate him for the effort, but most importantly, I want to thank him for his thoughtfulness, because coming along with this at this time will go a long way to give the practitioners that hope that yes, some people are actually monitoring us, and they are looking at what we do, and it will be like a tonic for others to walk ahead.
Just as I said inside, we must really commend Steve Ayorinde for being a witness to history. Documenting the trajectory of the industry is extremely important. When the industry was in its fledgling state, for those of us who grew up on a diet of Durola Dipo, Adelov, Baba Salah, Zebrudaya, alias 430, and all those early day theatre practitioners, we weren't exactly enamored of the quality of the first set of Nollywood productions.
5 years ago, I felt that the idea that I had actually got the idea while discussing with the former NBC DG, who was also in Census Board as DG, Emeka Mba before, that many of our films that are now becoming like classics, if you want to pick 5 or 10 that you consider the most outstanding for people to want to make a remake, which one would be your top 10? That was how it started from. And then I now felt that a decade after, 2 decades after, and we're approaching 3 decades by 2022, and I felt that it would just be important to make that documentation. And the figure that I walked around was 30 of our most accomplished directors, 30 of our most outstanding feature films, 30 of the actors, 30 of the actresses, and 30 of those who had passed on, from Ogunde to B. Bandele to Sadiq Daba, to Rachel Luniga, many of them, that we can't afford to forget them. So that is the story of 3 decades of the new Nigerian cinema.
All right, I want to say kudos to you, Steve. I'm not just saying this because you're probably here, because if there's anything we've lacked in our industry, it's preserving our history. Absolutely. And anybody that tries to do that, for whatever reason, should be highly commended, because a lot is actually fading away. Absolutely. And if we do not know where we are coming from, how do we chart a better path for where we're going to? Absolutely. And that is why 30 is actually very rife. Because like we're speaking off the screen, several of these Gen Zs might not even know who probably a Tadeo Gidon is, who a Tunde Kelani is, who an Ego Boyo is. These were people who were part of a movement that evolved into what we celebrate today as Nollywood. Now, Nollywood movies can hit the cinemas. Nollywood movies can actually go to international film festivals. But some people laid the groundwork. Some people set the tone. And some of these people have actually been forgotten or been left behind. It's good to have people that will bring them back to the fore, celebrate them, tap from them, because some of the storylines from some of these movies are timeless and they are masterpieces. Because I'm just trying to wrap my mind around Ego Boyo's 1996 movie with a young RMD, Violated.
Violated by Amaka Igwe.
Yeah, Amaka Igwe. And you look at that, and some of those storylines cannot even be replicated in our modern times. And you look at some of these movies, I just say kudos to that. But what I also want to find out from you is, in your journey in trying to capture and preserve history, what was the most challenging thing about putting together this work of art or this masterpiece?
Okay, thank you very much, Aaron. Two key things were challenging. One, it took about 3 years, off and on, trying to knock it out. The research part of it, the writing part of it, the editing part of it. And I realized that one was basically writing about 90 people and themes at the same time. If you look at, working with the figure 30, you're basically condensing stories about people, 30 directors, 30 actors, 30 actresses, 30 feature films, and then 30 of those who had passed. I thought that it was small, but it turned out to be very huge and challenging.
Quite
the
enormous.
Research, getting everything right about them. The challenge was that in the first decade, almost first half of the 30 years that we're celebrating, if we pick it from 1992 up to last year, social media was not available, internet was low, and so we didn't keep much of our history. Ashelto Remeka, for example, like living in bondage, were defining of that era in 1992. It was impossible to get a picture or even a poster of Ashelto Remeka from the producer, from the director, and to imagine that the director of the film was at a time the managing director of the Nigerian Film Corporation.
Wow.
We couldn't get anything. We just had to improvise. Al Shunaya, whose film in 1997 was like the bridge video film between Nigeria and the UK at that time, with King of My Country. It was tough for him to get, a good picture that you could use. And then we looked through all his Facebook postings. From then, there was Facebook then, by the way, but nothing as at that time, because things were...
Nobody 2007 now.
In 1997.
Okay.
1997. No, that was no Facebook. I think, but we couldn't get anything. Again, we had to improvise. So writing, putting this together and the research, and then getting a good quality pictures. And so the challenge, actually is the beauty of what we're doing. Look for things that in the next 30 years, when people will be saying, let us look at the 60 years of Nollywood, they wouldn't have to struggle for materials, texts, and visuals like I did, when putting this together. And it is important, which is why a project like this cannot end up as just a book. It's a 3-part project of a book, of a documentary, a film, and a museum of cinema, because we really can't just stay the way we are. Yes, Nigeria is about Nollywood. Nollywood is about Nigeria. We try to tease ourselves and say that we're number 2 in the world because of the number of films that we're producing. But hey, Abuja, the federal capital, does not even have a national theater. Yes, there are cinemas, a few screens that you go to. But guess what? Lagos, if Lagos is central, as we know, to the story and history of Nollywood, for example, there's no museum of cinema. Not in Lagos, not anywhere in Nigeria. Most of the big cities of the world where cinema business is important, you will find that. How many documentaries do we have on Nollywood? Maybe there were a few years ago, but then this is the era of giant streamers. This is the era of Netflix. This is the era of Amazon Prime, videos. This is the era of our Rice Play. We can do a lot, absolutely. To keep reminding ourselves of how far we have come. Of course, the Nigerian film industry didn't start in 1992, but there was a renaissance, like Joker Silva said. Something happened in the early 90s, especially in 1992, with Living in Bondage, with Ashewo Torimeka, and since then, we've been growing.
Yes, we have.
What other things do we need to do? That is what Peace Anyamusigwe, God bless her soul, wrote in the last word of the book, saying that we have seen the first 30 years, the next 30 years are also crucial. That's what the book is about.
All right, Steve, I still have quite a lot of questions, but I think the salient point you've actually dropped has been the fact that you found it difficult, but this should be almost like a message to everyone within the ecosystem. We need to start preserving our history.
Yeah.
We need to start preserving our history.
Absolutely. Well, all I feel at the moment is unreserved gratitude to everyone that made it happen.